I published my first book in 1997. I know you were like 2 years old.
That's cute. Yes.
Back then.
Yes, I was too.
This is for us, and it's by us, and it's our thing.
Jerry, thank you for taking time to talk to me.
Not a problem.
I appreciate it. So, first of all, I gotta ask, how many years has this been? This is the fifth year.
This is our
right?
fifth year.
So, this is pretty amazing. I'm seeing the lines outside. I'm seeing the crowds downstairs and up here. How is it different this year than it was like previous years?
When we first started 5 years ago, we had about 1,000 people come through, and we were blown away by that. Last year was the first year where I was surprised. I went outside and the line was like this.
Yeah,
it looked like the new Star Wars movie.
It was awesome.
We had 7,000 people come through.
Amazing. Yeah, I was
So
that,
it was
yeah.
like,
yes.
So people were like, okay, you have to do something.
Yeah.
So we decided this year to do it 2 days. So we did Friday and we did today.
Mm-hmm.
So yesterday we added a literacy component for kids. We had about 300 school kids come in with their classes. Myself, David Miller, Zeta Elliott, and Alex Simmons, we all presented to the kids.
Okay.
And we had a grant where we literally gave them 300 books for free.
Oh, wow.
So that was the first new component.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had the vendors all day yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
That was new for here. And then we had panels all day. This is, to me, a lot more kid-friendly than you see a lot of cons.
Yes.
You know, when I was a kid, conventions were for kids. The other thing is, I feel what's really important is to educate the people who come through. Because a lot of times, if they come through and they don't see Captain America or Iron Man, they're like, well, this isn't a Comic-Con. Come through, check out their stuff. And then when they do, they're like, dude, that book was really good. I'm like, we're not just guys off the street.
Right.
You know, so we are those guys that are doing stuff for Marvel and DC, but then we do our independent books. And also to show the creators themselves, it's not that crabs in the barrel.
Right.
Okay?
Exactly.
So the better David Walker does, the better I do.
Was that your impetus for creating it to begin with? Like, let's educate all the people. Let's let everybody know. Is that tied into your original?
You know what? Yeah. Initially, it started with a conversation I had with Tyrell only. Mm-hmm. And then when I approached Deirdre Holman, I wanted to do the exhibition part like this. John Jennings wanted to do like literally exhibiting artwork, so more of a gallery showing. Mm-hmm. And Jonathan Gales wanted to do more of an academic approach.
And it's sort of a mix.
Right. So Deirdre said, listen, why don't you guys kind of, Voltron up? And, so boom, boom, boom. And then we became this this super thing. And this is what you see now. So
I tell people all the time, if you're trying to do a children's book, talk to Jerry Crabb. He knows how to do it. So let's talk a little bit about what you have here today and what's on the table.
So I published my first book in 1997. I know you were like 2 years old.
That's cute. Yes.
Back then.
Yes, I was 2.
2 years old, so you had
Write that down.
Read it to you. And not all of them are self-published because 0 Degree Zombie Zone
0 Degree Zombie. Okay.
is for Scholastic, and then I'm working on a graphic novel for a publisher that I can't say yet.
Everybody here I've spoken to is like not just making good money, but happy. Like they're all really enjoying themselves.
And then it's a very intimate too. You can come up, ask for an autograph, take pictures.
How does it make you feel 5 years later?
Oh, amazing.
If you get a chance, you gotta come by the Schomburg. You gotta see this for yourself, like live, because this is an experience. It really is.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
My name's Keith Knight. I am the Gentleman cartoonist, and I do several different comic strips. So one is the Daily, the Nightlife, and then I do the K Chronicles. That's what I'm most known for. It's my autobiographical strip I've been doing for like 20 years now. So.
That's where I first found you. Is K Chronicles an outlet for you?
Totally. When I first started the strip, it really was an answer to what I saw was just a dearth of representation. Someone who was into hip-hop that wasn't in a gang, and like everybody I knew who was into hip-hop was really intelligent, political, into other music, and a nerd. And this was in the early 90s, so you really didn't see this sort of explosion of nerds everywhere, black nerds. When I first did the strip, it was not a surprise that people really connected with it. So I just kept on doing it, and lo and behold, now I'm the old man at the con.
What are the two things that you've seen change the most that have affected you in the business in the past 10, 15 years?
When I started, it was like 53-year-old white men. That was it. And now it is so amazingly diverse that now the industry has to catch up in providing content that's as diverse as the audience. And it's exciting, it's great, but with those come the growing pains. So you have the people online going, oh, why do you have to make them black? Or why is a woman writing about comics? Blah, blah, blah.
I've heard that a couple times.
But it's exciting. I mean, it's amazing to see some of the great artists coming up. The internet started to figure out how people can support themselves, like via places like Patreon, where people can subscribe to your work. And
Are you on Patreon?
Yeah, I am on Patreon.
We have to support him on Patreon.
and also just the opportunities for cartoonists. This is a new book that I did that's coming out in March with Craig Robinson, the comedian, and Adam Mansbach, the guy who did Go to F to Sleep. It's our entry into the sort of Diary of a Wimpy Kid realm. It's 8 to 10, but it's Jake the Fake. It's diverse.
Diverse is what I call like reality?
Yes, exactly.
So it's a real book with real people in it.
That's true.
There's a concept. They say like times of political unrest are when artists really step up. Like, do you just turn on the news and go, oh great, I can write about this week?
I would rather it be difficult for me to do it. We've been through, as a people, a lot of rough stuff. And historically, what happens in this country is when there's like a gain for us after Reconstruction, the Civil Rights Movement, first black president, there's a pushback. And so this is that pushback. And so we just have to roll up our sleeves and work our way through it. And also, I do a slideshow about police brutality. 20 years of my police brutality cartoons. It's called They Shoot Black People, Don't They? Coming to a university art space near you. Keep an eye out for me. kchronicles.com.
I am here at the Schomburg at the Black Comics Convention with Regine Sawyer. I know you've been doing this for a few years.
Every year, the amount of people increases. The audience, we're flooded with more and more people. I mean, there's lines around the block.
How do you feel now that we're hearing, about Roxanne Gay working on things like Black Panther for Marvel, hearing more and more quote-unquote women getting involved, even though we've been here?
Yes.
What do you feel the climate is like now for women in comics?
It's okay.
It's just okay, though.
For me, there can never be enough women.
Okay.
So it is absolutely a relevant question still up until today, 2017. And we're going to be discussing that on our panel.
What are the panels about?
Well, it's the Fierce Femininity in Fandom panel. We're going to be discussing black women working in the comic book industry and the impact that we have on said industry.
When I saw you in New York Comic Con, you had debuted Ice Witch.
Yes.
I also see the Rippers. Are you going to be dropping any more new comics soon?
I plan to finally have Eating Vampires issue 2 out. We're going to be working on issue 2 of Ice Witch. We're also going to be working on issue 4 of The Rippers. I'm also going to be working on some illustrated novels. I have a special project also that is supposed to be coming out, fingers crossed, but I can't really talk about it.
Okay.
But you'll be the first to know.
Yay! You also have Women in Comics, and the convention is coming up in March, right?
Yes, March 25th at the Bronx Library Center.
What is it like trying to balance the Women in Comics and Lock It Down, and then life?
It's crazy. That's what it is. But somehow I managed to do it. I mean, a lot of my energy goes into Women in Comics because when I thrive, they thrive, and we thrive together. So it makes things a little bit easier when I put things out for Lock It Down. Because I broaden my fan base as I'm broadening Women in Comics. So they're very in sync.
And is there anything else that is coming up for either Lock It Down or Women in Comics?
Well, we're going to be doing workshops for the Patterson Art Council, Patterson, New Jersey Art Council, from starting the end of this month through June.
Okay.
We're also going to be doing more workshops for the Metropolitan Museum of Art.
Okay.
We have Women in Comics Con, of course. We have our second annual Women in Comics Con Drink and Draw party.
Oh, right, Drink and Draw.
We're going to have that. That's going to happen as well. We'll have some more book signings. We're working with a lot more comic book shops. And so there's a lot of things going to be happening, and everyone needs to look out for it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Thank you.
Well, Black is a comic book about what if only black people had superpowers. And the central character is Kareem Jenkins, who discovers he has powers after being stopped by the police and gunned down. But he comes back to life and is brought into this sort of secret society that's dealing with the fact that black people have had powers for centuries, but it's been kept a secret. And his conflict is that he's trying to decide whether it should be a secret or not. Should he, keep it a secret and protect his people, or be out and proud, but perhaps put a target on their back?
It's science fiction by nature, but it also has things that affect the black community on a day-to-day basis. People feel like they can relate to the characters.
You guys had a wildly successful Kickstarter, and I think it's because of the reasons you just mentioned.
We did alright.
Yeah, a little bit. Made your money in what, like 4 hours?
Something like that.
It was 4 days.
4 days, okay. Yeah. The legend that I
4
heard
hours,
was
4
4
days,
hours,
same
4
thing.
minutes.
Same thing.
You made it in the first 4 minutes. When you did the Kickstarter, was it already drawn and finished, or was it like, this is an idea, let's put it out there, let's fund it, and then let's build it?
Tim and I, when we got together originally, we had already done a lot of the foundational work. So in terms of like the world and the story, that was already etched out and stuff. But, in order to free these guys up from their obligations in the industry, I definitely needed to go to Kickstarter and earn enough money to basically warrant the talent of Kari and Jamal on the book. It was like since day one, it's been like a runaway train for us, and I'm just really excited that the love's continuing.
There's somebody trying to join us back here. Latecomer that was just working his own table is
Tim Smith 3.
Jamal has been drawing the interiors, you've been doing the covers, and you guys have been writing, correct?
I've been writing, but Tim designs all of the characters.
Okay.
The reason we got together is I've known Tim for a long time, and he just, to me, had the right aesthetic to design characters who were going to feel black, but feel different and have their own sort of silhouette and body language to them that you're not going to see in regular comics where everybody's in tight spandex and capes and dressing all weird.
They have powers, and we want to try to showcase the fact that they are a cut above the average person, as well as a real-world sense of what a person might wear if they could wear and do the things that they do.
The interiors are black and white. Now, was that by choice or by budget?
It was by choice. In my mind, the story has always been in black and white. Black and white leaves a little bit more to the imagination, and I wanted people who read the book to really think about what they were reading and not just be bombarded with all the overdone computer colors and stuff like that. And yeah, it also happens to be cheaper.
What is next for this series?
The original intent when we did the Kickstarter was to do 3 books that were pretty much going to be the tent poles, kind of like our New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi. But the response has been so great that now we're trying to plan out some Rogue Ones. So that's what we're fleshing out right now and seeing what we can do in the next coming 6 years or so.
Oh, 6 years.
It was like a perfect storm of this is the right time to tell this story.
When Tim and I first came up with the concept, that was like 10 years ago. Same story, but it was still relevant 10 years later.
I hope it does get attention. I hope, and positive or negative, doesn't matter. If it's not seen, it's not heard.
Part of the purpose of Black is about us having more of a voice. When I say us, I mean more black creators having a presence, having a voice. It's like a lot of guys are getting Columbus right now.
Yeah.
Even though they've been in the game for like 10, 15 years. It's like, oh, we had all these black people.
Kari, I think you got that. You got that, what's it like to be an overnight sensation?
I get that once a week. And I'm like, dog, I'm almost 40. You discovered me now, whatever. Thanks.
And honestly, thank you guys so much for taking time to talk to me. I really appreciate the work you guys are doing. And I want a bag. I'm just putting it.
Yeah, I mean, they're $8.
See what I mean?
Prints are
See what I mean? Even free publicity won't get you anything, guys.
We can do $7.99.